special episode of the Solar Sports Desk with me, Gino Rufino and Cheska Litton, coming to you live from the Mall of Asia Arena for the NBA Global Games Philippines 2013. Now, Cheska, we have another special guest tonight on the show.
Yes, another special guest. Last night we had five-time NBA champion Ron Harper on the show, and tonight we have another guest who, let's say, has a really long list of achievements. NBA champion, and of course, Olympic gold medalist, one of the 50 greatest players of all time, and a 10-time NBA All-Star.
Of course, none other than Clyde the Glide Drexler. Welcome back to the Philippines, and welcome to the Solar Sports Desk.
Thank you very much, and it's a pleasure to be back in Manila.
I got to ask you, Clyde, the last time you were here for NBA Madness a couple of years ago, and now you're here for the Global Games. How different has the trip been for you?
Well, the NBA Madness, we had a great time.
Yeah.
It was more of a regional thing, but when the teams come, the real NBA teams, there's a different buzz in the air. One, the original players, the current players are here, and that's what really everyone is excited about. It's going to be a great game. We got the Pacers, the Rockets, two of the better teams in the NBA. This could be the NBA Finals matchup at the end of the season. So this is a highly anticipated game, couple of games, and we're excited to be here.
All right, well, we also heard that you guys actually played a pickup game, like right out on the street, and a bunch of people were so excited about that. Can you tell us about your experience here the past couple of days?
Well, it's been phenomenal, first of all. The people here are so nice, but wherever the NBA goes, they always get into the community. And so a bunch of the guys, myself, Ron Harper, Jalen Rose, Kiki Vandeweghe, and Robert Horry, we went into the community and we played against some of the local kids. And it was packed. It was outside. It was hot. So we got a chance to play 2-on-2 and do a little shooting with the kids. And it was just a lot of fun, just yucking it up because the game of basketball is a global game, and everyone truly enjoys it.
What does it mean to you now that the NBA has reached the Philippines? I mean, it's been played throughout Europe, throughout the Americas, in Asia. It's been done in China, Japan, Taiwan, but this is the first time it's being done in the Philippines. What are your thoughts on how big basketball and the NBA is here?
Well, I think it's a great thing. The NBA reach is getting longer all the time, and it's a great thing. The world loves basketball, and there's no better basketball than the NBA anywhere in the world. And so to have it stretch all over the world, every continent, is the goal of our Commissioner, David Stern. And I think expanding the game has been one of the brightest events in our sports because it's now being able to be viewed around the world. And now the players have been around the world and visiting different countries and places. And the common bond is the game of basketball. Yeah. I mean, the basketball fans all over the world. And it's a great thing.
Since obviously you are very experienced when it comes to international play, our national team just made it to the FIBA Worlds in Spain. Can you give us any advice whatsoever, like what to expect once they make it to the FIBA Worlds?
Well, congratulations. Your national team was phenomenal.
Thank you.
And that's the first time they've qualified, right? Ever.
At least
After
since
4 years.
For a long time, yeah. But, that's because they're working hard. They're getting the influence from the NBA because to reach the top level, you got to be around people who've been at or are at the top level in your sport. And so the competition has to be here in order for you to get better. So these guys have worked extremely hard. I would say the best thing you can do is continue to work hard. And when you play international competition, stick to your strengths.
Yeah.
Don't play away from your weaknesses. Stick to your strengths. So if you're quick, use that.
Yeah.
If you're fast, use that. If you can shoot it, use that. Play to your strengths.
We can do all of those, but we can't really use our height because we don't have much.
We're not a very tall.
Well, you got to play your game. And you got to be good defensively. But if you can score the ball, you can have success.
All right.
All right, we are going to take a quick break. And, of course, we will be back with Clyde Drexler right here on the Solar Sports Desk.
Welcome back to the Solar Sports Desk. We're still here at the Mall of Asia Arena with Clyde Drexler, no less. Now, Clyde, you came from the University of Houston, and you had this thing that's called, Phi Slamma Jamma. And I know this is great memories for you. So can you tell us a little bit more about this fraternity that you had with Hakeem Olajuwon and so on and so forth?
Well, we had just a really good college team, and so we were big and tall and talented, and we did. The coach, Guy Lewis, of that team was really focused on becoming more efficient as a team, because if you're more efficient, you win more games. And the way to become more efficient is instead of shooting jumpers is to go in and dunk the ball. And so we would work on dunking all the time, making power moves around the basket. And instead of settling for a 5-footer, we took an extra step and tried to dunk it. And so we, as a result of many years of practice, we had a lot of success. And the name of that team became Phi Slamma Jamma because we had so many dunks every single game.
Okay, we do want to know though, is there any truth to the initiation rumors that they had to stand underneath the basket while you jump over them and do a tomahawk?
No, the initiation factor, that would have been torture. But the more of an initiation factor would be if you want to be a card-carrying member of Phi Slamma Jamma, you had to stand up and put your palm print above the square, which is above the basket.
Wow. Okay.
So that you had to be a high flyer. No matter what size you were, we had almost 12 out of our 15 guys could do that.
12.
12, yes.
Do you guys,
palm print above the square.
Did you have anybody below 6 feet?
No.
That might be why, but
No.
Let's proceed to your days in Portland. This is where you spent most of your career, and of course, some of the best moments of your career was spent with the Portland Trailblazers. Talk about that part of your life, being part of the Blazers and a franchise player for that organization.
Well, the Blazers is a phenomenal organization. They were the franchise that drafted me. I was able to play 11 and a half seasons with them. And I had nothing but great times. If you've ever been to the Great Northwest, Portland, Oregon in particular, it is a beautiful place. Yeah. The people there are really very friendly. It's back to nature. It's God's country. Yeah. And it is a beautiful place and a great environment for the game of basketball because there's no other competing sports. Yep. There's no football, no baseball, no hockey.
You have the Ducks.
Well, we have the Ducks, but that's college. It's college. Professional teams, there's none. Yeah. And so you get all of the attention. And it's more like a college environment. The games are always sold out. We never not played in a sold-out environment. And it was a wonderful environment for the game of basketball.
I would say that during that time, during your time with the Blazers, I think they had the best home court as far as the crowd is concerned.
Oh, by far, because the crowd was actually so close, and they were loud. Yeah. So the opposing team really didn't like it because they would make you shake. And they'd say bad things to you. They'd talk about you. And they were really pro-Blazers.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's move over to, of course, the 1992 Dream Team that no one has gotten over yet ever since then. I mean, can you tell us about your journey from, of course, getting that phone call to what you guys did in Portland to Monaco, then in Spain?
It was a phenomenal team to be on. First time in history that professional players were allowed to participate in the Olympics in the United States. And so when that team was assembled, some of the greatest players to ever play the game. Not only of that era, but to ever play. And so to be on that team was a tremendous honor. Obviously, we had a lot of success, and only because we worked so hard. And when you look back on it, it's been, 21 years? Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I don't feel that old. I must have been 10 when I was on the team. But it was a great moment in time, and what a great team.
Yeah. Would you say that the Dream Team helped in the globalization of basketball and the NBA? Because you're using NBA players and you just completely dominated the competition.
Yeah, but the reason the the USA Basketball had to use NBA players was because international competition was getting better and better. Yeah. You had all these guys who were 30, 32 years old playing against your college teams. And they were good. They were professional players. So who's going to win that match? And so in order to compete, you had to get better. So the adaptation of letting NBA players play in the Olympics was a great thing. Now it's become commonplace, but before then, our college players hardly lost. I mean, they had a perfect record almost. And so it was an interesting time because we didn't know what was going to occur. But looking back at it, it was a great part of the NBA history and really was the start of the globalization of the game. Because when you see all these great players just dominating every other country, you know where the best basketball is played.
You guys didn't call any timeout at all in the tournament.
Well, we didn't really. If we called a timeout, it was only because someone got poked in the eye or had some blood.
All right. Well, the guys on that team had varying reactions when they got the phone calls if they wanted to join the Olympic team for the USA. It was some were reluctant, some were jumping at the chance. What was your initial reaction?
Well, it was a great honor to be selected.
Yeah.
And whether or not you're going to make the team or not make the team, if you make the team, you get to play for your country, and you're honored to be there. If you don't make the team, you get the summer off. And summer vacation has never been a bad thing.
All right, let's move on to the Houston Rockets. You're reunited with Hakeem Olajuwon in Houston, and it's sort of a homecoming for you going back to Houston. And obviously, you won a title there, going up against the Orlando Magic with a young Shaquille O'Neal. Talk about coming back to Houston and teaming up with the Dream.
It was a phenomenal occasion because as you get older in your career, teams tend to give up on you. And I had one injury in like 12 years. And the minute you have an injury, I went 10 years, 9 years with no injury, not one, didn't get taped, didn't dress, never did anything with the trainer. I get one injury, all of a sudden you're old, and now it's time to trade you and get some value for you. Mm-hmm. And so I was thinking, wow, that's incredible. And so, well, if that's the way you think, if Portland's going to rebuild, then maybe I'll just orchestrate a trade. If I can go to Houston, that'll do two things. One, give me a chance to win a championship. Mm-hmm. Two, I'll be going home, which is where I lived in the summer. Yeah. And three, I get a chance to play with Hakeem Olajuwon.
Yeah.
So it was a great deal.
Yeah. And how about the Dream, though? Talk about what's it like being his teammate when you were in college and in the pros. I mean, was he the same throughout the entire
Well,
time?
he was one of the greatest centers to ever play the game, first of all, and a good friend of mine, like a brother, even to this day. And so when he first got to the University of Houston, he comes straight from Nigeria. He didn't know much about the game of basketball. And so he had to set out, had to get stronger, and I was kind of a big brother to him during that process. And we didn't know he'd get as good as he became. As I said, he had no knowledge and nothing. He had nothing redeeming about his basketball game. But as a big man, we had one of the greatest coaches who could teach big men everything. His name was Guy Lewis. Mm-hmm. Guy Lewis worked with Hakeem day and night. Moses Malone, who's a three-time MVP of the league, worked with Hakeem day and night. And he had me there as a big brother. So he had some pretty good mentors along the way. You wonder why his game developed so quickly? Well, that's the reason. But his work ethic was nonstop. The guy was very intelligent. He picked up everything we taught him, and he put his own spin in it, and that's how he became the Dream.
When you heard that you were going back to Houston, you already said that you knew something special was going to happen, and you proceeded to win the NBA championship. In your gut, in your heart, how did you know that that was it, that was your time?
Well, you don't know. But what you do know is that I'm going to give it everything I have, because why? I love this game, and this is what I do. Basketball, I've always said, is a team sport. You can have 50 points and 40 rebounds. But if I don't make the 2 free throws at the end of the game, we don't win. Mm-hmm. Now, does that make you not a champion? No, that's the crazy thing about basketball. It's a team sport.
Yeah.
So you can't look at it individually. You're only going to be as good as the weakest member of your team.
All right. We're going to be having more, of course, with the Clyde Drexler, and we're going to be talking about the current Houston Rockets team when we return. Keep here, the Solar Sports Desk. Welcome back to the Solar Sports Desk, and we're still here with Clyde Slamma Jamma Drexler. Now, Clyde, I was talking to Kevin McHale, the coach of the Houston Rockets, earlier today, and we were talking about the addition of the big fella, Dwight Howard, coming to the Rockets. And I guess, obviously, the expectations now for the Rockets are skyrocketing because you're adding a great center, and you already have a good center in Omer Ashik, and you guys did pretty well last year. So what are your thoughts with the addition of Dwight and how things are going to change? Because a fast-breaking team, now, will they slow down with Dwight there, or is Dwight going to be a main factor for them to run?
Well, anytime you can get the best center in the game on your team, and you don't have to give up anything for him. I think they've won 54 games. We talked about this. I think with Dwight, they can win 60 games and could be the best team in the NBA.
Wow.
But they have to show that chemistry. They have to gel. They have to work extremely hard. And the most important thing, they have to stay healthy. But I think Dwight is going to be a major player. He's a phenomenal guy. And 2 years ago, Dwight Howard took his 3 years ago, the Orlando Magic, to the finals, almost by himself. Mm-hmm. Now he has a lot of help in James Harden, Omer Ashik, Jeremy Lin. And so these guys are perhaps on paper the best team in the entire league. Now, and so we anticipate great things. The Rockets franchise has showed their willingness to spend the money in order to get the big players to win.
Okay.
And that's a great tradition to have.
You mentioned Omer Ashik, and one of the things that Kevin McHale also told me earlier is that he plans to play Ashik and Dwight on the court at the same time.
Well, whenever you play two big guys, you're going to be better defensively. They can switch everything. You're not going to be able to get into the paint. If you're a penetrator, it's going to be a bad day.
No, you're going to think twice.
You're going to have to make jumpers from the outside, which means they're going to be a really good defensive team. I think that's going to enhance their chances.
All right, let's talk about the Western Conference here. Of course, last year's finals, we had the Spurs, and this year we've got Kobe Bryant returning to the Lakers, Russell Westbrook coming back to the Thunder. What do you think the Western Conference is going to be like this season?
Well, those two guys you mentioned, Russell Westbrook, we don't know how healthy or effective he's going to be. He's having another surgery. He's a great young player, and we wish him all of the best. But they won't be the same team until Russell Westbrook comes back very healthy. And that could take a while. Mm-hmm. We saw what happened to D. Rose. And with Kobe, pretty much the same thing. Kobe's incredible, but he's in his 17th or 18th season. And when you have those types of injuries, even as a young man, it's hard to come back. Kobe's not quite a young man. He's up in age, which means you're going to lose a step anyway. And now the injury, you can lose another step. If anybody can do it, Kobe can, but it's going to be really hard for Kobe and the Lakers.
How about the teams like the Memphis Grizzlies, the LA Clippers, and of course the San Antonio Spurs?
Those are all really good teams. The Spurs are getting up in age, but very effective still. The Grizzlies are a young, up-and-coming team. I think they need a couple of more pieces to compete with the big guys. I think the Clippers, with the addition of Doc Rivers, they still have basically the same talent. They're going to be good, but I think as they get close in the playoffs, their big guys, the lack of shooting, the lack of post skills is going to hurt them down the stretch.
I want to mention something that you actually mentioned Moses Malone. Now, when you talk about the Houston Rockets, you have a tradition of great centers. Moses, Hakeem, Ralph Sampson, Yao Ming, just to name a few, right? So, of course, now you also have Kevin McHale there. Will these guys help Dwight as far as his post moves are concerned and all the other stuff that he needs down low?
Well, I think they got Hakeem Olajuwon on staff, who's already been working with Dwight Howard for the last couple of years with his offensive game. I think that really helps. McHale helps him as well. Anytime you get around other big guys who are top 50 players, they have a lot of knowledge to impart. So Dwight he's been like a sponge. He's soaking it all up, and he's got a pretty good game already.
Yeah.
So I like that combination when you got good support system around great players.
All right. Can you give us your thoughts on the Eastern Conference?
Eastern Conference. 2 words. Miami Heat. Turn up the heat, baby.
That's simple.
But it's going to be tough to three-peat. It's going to be tough to three-peat. Teams like the Brooklyn Nets, the Indiana Pacers are going to really challenge the Miami Heat because they're going to be a lot hungrier. The Heat's biggest challenge is going to be to stay healthy.
Okay.
If they can keep D. Wade, LeBron, and Chris Bosh healthy, they're going to have a chance to go for a third ring. But if not, if you play 2 or 3 years deep into the postseason, it really takes a lot out of you. And so they're going to be injury plagued for most of the year. I think their reserves are going to have to step it up, and hopefully they can keep it all together until the playoffs begin.
Speaking of the reserves, one of the guys that they're bringing in is Greg Oden, who the Blazers actually drafted.
Who we've never seen healthy.
What are your thoughts of him coming back? And is there a possibility that we see even perhaps 70%, 80% of what Greg Oden was supposed to be?
Well, Miami is a good franchise, and they wouldn't bring Greg Oden back unless they thought he could compete. Yeah. So obviously he showed them something that made them say, hey, he can make our roster because they're trying to win.
Yeah.
And so if he can do that, good for him. He's a nice young man. He's been given a tough job by never being healthy. I know there's no one who wants to play more than Greg Oden. All players want to play. But if your body keeps giving out on you, there's nothing you can do. I just hope that he has a couple of healthy seasons and let everyone know that he's really a good player.
All right. Unfortunately, we have to wrap things up. But before we go, I do want to ask you if, let's say, you already had your jersey number retired in the University of Houston, in Indiana, and Portland and Houston, and of course 10-time NBA All-Star, Olympic gold medalist, Hall of Famer. Is there anything else in your career that you wish you've done, experienced,
achieved? No, I just want to be the commissioner. That's the only thing I want to do.
We hear David Stern is retiring.
Tell David I want his job. Now that he's leaving.
I know we're running out of time again, but the transition that you have from being a player to being a broadcaster, it seems seamless for you.
Well, you can always talk about the game because obviously you know a lot. That's the reason you're successful. But talking about it is fun, especially when you get to see the great games.
Yeah.
You know, some of the lesser games in the preseason, it's not exciting as the playoffs games.
Okay. Now, I got to ask you this. You said it earlier. This could be the finals matchup, the Indiana Pacers.
You heard it right here.
So mark this down, okay? Clyde Drexler said that the Indiana Pacers and the Houston Rockets could face each other in the NBA Finals come June.
Very real possibility. You think about the top 4 teams in the entire league.
Yeah.
Both of those teams are in them.
Okay.
You put San Antonio and Miami. Other than that, who's better?
And again, I think health is going to be the biggest issue for everybody.
Health is always the issue.
All right.
One injury to Tim Duncan and the Spurs are an afterthought. I mean, so health is always the number one issue for every team.
Clyde, obviously now we really have to wrap it up. Some final words from you for all the viewers out there and all the Clyde Drexler and the NBA fans.
Well, to play this game was a tremendous honor. I started playing this game because I loved it. And to see the love of the same game that you love all around the world, here in the Philippines as well, it's just a phenomenal thing. And to be a part of all that with the NBA history, a game that I grew up watching on TV, wanting to be a part of as a young child, it's like a dream come true, even for me at the age of 35, maybe a little bit more. But I've always loved the NBA and always will. It's a part of you. It's part of your DNA. And it's just a pleasure to be a part of it.
All right.
Thank you so much for joining us here on the Solar Sports Desk. And if you ever do come back to the Philippines, please feel free to drop by again.
I will. Well, you guys have a lot of knowledge about the game, both the old players and now the current players. In your opinion, what era do you think is probably the most exciting era?
80s.
80s, 90s, 2000s?
I say 80s.
I say 90s. I'm sorry. I was born in... Okay, never mind.
You can't go wrong. 80s and 90s. Those are my 2 eras. I'm not biased. I agree with you. Thank you. It's been a pleasure being here.
Thank you very much, Clyde Drexler. For Cheska Litton, I'm Gino Rufino. And, of course, tomorrow we got big shot Robert Ory right here on the Solar Sports Desk. See you then.